system in it and technology in it. So we can control all the way actually the bean temperature. Please turn on TV.
So what I need to do is just slot this in.
Exactly.
And then,
there is actually also what you are getting is also you get a cup like that, which is exactly like 100 grams, which is also very easy. But it might be, of course, of the density and the humidity. You can also have it like that, and then you just throw it in. But I prefer those trays, because I'm get used to it.
Let me just do this, what we've just done. I hope I'm blocking everybody, yeah?
Ah, it's good.
Not sure you.
We will put the song, the sexy bag,
Yeah.
song after, from Justin Timberlake.
So that cup is 100 grams.
You can say more or less, but it depends on, of course, your coffee.
Can slot it in.
Yeah, exactly. You just hold it like that. I do hold it like that. I don't know why. Just like
So what's that pin for?
Sorry?
There's a pin.
That is a prop.
That's a problem.
Temperature prop.
Okay.
So it does actually gives you right. Other way around? It was right. Yeah.
Fine. Then there's a cup. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
Exactly. I mean,
Then,
and then you just start play
and then I go to
the middle one.
this
I
one.
mean, if you wanna look for a different roasting profile, you just go here.
Yeah.
So you got it now cupping, and then you just start
You
playing.
just play. Whoop.
Simple.
So what's happening here?
Now this is the second.
Seconds.
This is the temperature.
It's temperature.
This is actually the rose color meter, like
Light.
more or less. Yeah, exactly.
Light
It's
blue.
now in the light side. As darker it's getting, it's going up. Right now it's just roasting. Here you can see the temperature is going up. So around, mostly it's like, you would say like more or less, the guideline is 200, 201, 202, it can be 203. Around 200 you will have the first crack. It's very easy to hear. At the beginning you might already hear a crack sound at around like 150 like or now, or 160. Those are the small chaps or small particles which are already getting up.
So we've not chosen any profile.
So we have the cupping profile now. So it's a standard cupping profile. Whoever and wherever is going to cup, this is the roast profile they do have. And by that way we can compare actually all the coffees a little more, let's say, fairly, because we want to be fair to each sample we do have.
A lot of chaff.
Yeah. I mean, as clear as it is, as less you will hear that. Of course, it's very simple. We are roasting just a small amount of. With the new booster, you will be able to roast 50 grams to 200 grams. So actually, the 200 grams is simply made if you have a micro roastery, or you have a very very special nano lots or micro lots, and you want to sell them in small amount, you can just like roast it and also use it at your coffee bar. But you can also do just like as a farmer, you want to taste your coffee, or there is a potential green buyer, you just roast it and then you have it immediately. So then you can, with 100 is like what you need, but the 200 is more like for the barista championships or for brewers cups, so they don't lose much time on like roasting. And the good advantage for the championship is like mostly we usually very expensive coffee. So if you roast in a 5 kilo drum, if you mess it up once, it's painful, guys. I mean, it really hurts exactly here. I mean, like that. Starts bleeding without you really see that, but it really happens, and it happened to me. So by that way you have like as smaller the batch is, I mean, as more control you have on the batches. It's very simple. If you roast on a 60 kilo loading, it's a little more difficult because you have the amount, there's the quantity. And if you roast on a like half kilo or 1 kilo roaster, it's much more easier because you have control. If I am wrong, just like you have your stick next to you.
Now copy is developing by blowing in.
Exactly. You can see it also like that. You will see that the chaff is like going up.
You have it sitting down.
So now we are like 4 minutes and at 186. What I do usually is just like open the last log just to control if you wanna compare files. Let's say here, roast logs, and here you can see all the roast logs. So by date, I can see here, for example, that's that one, for example. I noted as a Kenya because I have been doing some adjustment as we are now about 2,000 meters. So this is where we are. And what I do, just to check, it is always the best. The thing is like, if the app is connected or from the same, if it is run from the same system, it can fake. It is always best to compare things also from an external equipment. So you can just go here and say like, okay, here is the 6 minutes, for example, or let's say this is now 5 minutes and 10. If you press here, we are somewhere here like that, you will be able to see actually where we are, and then exactly you can just compare actually the temperature. Okay, now we are getting to the first
6 minutes.
track. So what you do is you press on that and then you press on play and then you have locked your first track. Just lock it, and now we are at the first one. But you don't need to lock it every time. If you just take the last, you connect it. Once you have it, you can also just put the last lock if you are happy with the last. You just transfer it to there. It is very easy. You just open it and you press on that one. But the problem is, which I don't recommend, if you are roasting different samples, so it's getting down, cooling. If you don't, if you have different samples, every sample has its own moisture content, own density, and go on. So maybe you have a washed, you have a natural. So they will be having the first crack in a different temperature. Or they might have, but they might be also at the same temperature. So it would be very amateur or too snob to say like, oh, okay, at 201 you will have the first crack. So if you want to go like, okay, I want to be very fair, after the first crack I want to have 12% development. You just wait and listen. When you hear the first 1, 2 cracks, those are mostly the very, very smallest beans. After the third one, you can just lock in. And then you are very fair to each sample you have, and you have with each sample 12% or 13 or whatever you choose percent of development. That easy actually. Got a question? Or you want to try?
No, I have some questions.
Oh my God.
First, one of it, the Kaffelogic is made of what material?
What material?
Yeah.
Whew. It's a good question, which I need really need to ask. I mean, the outside it's aluminium. That's for sure what I know. And basically, it's like aluminium and plastic. But exactly what kind of and what degree of the metal it is, really, it's a question. It made me sweat a little bit. I mean, I don't know. To be honest. Why did you ask it, if I may ask?
Because I wanted to know if there is interference when you start roasting the coffee.
Sorry?
If there is any interference in terms of the product material
Yeah.
to interfere with the bean when you start roasting. Because what I've noticed, you did not preheat. So I was to ask why. Do you have to preheat the sample roaster prior
No,
to
you don't need to preheat it.
resonate?
You might have just like the first, but I have experience at the first one, you might do a calibration because, I mean, if you move the sample roaster from one place to another place, you will have a different room temperature, you will have a different humidity inside, and different attitude. So most probably if Stevie gets one and he goes to his farm, so he might need to do a calibration because we shouldn't forget one thing. Every day we are, especially in Nairobi, I understood it's like pretty similar to Melbourne. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and it will change. So like I have been experiencing here sunlight, was hot and then it was raining and then suddenly it was again sunny and then starting very windy, becoming very, very windy. So you might need to adjust. The first roast might be a little different as also when you do a roasting on your own drum, however it is in the same room and the same place, the first one might be always a little different. And this one might be also because this one is a smaller, and so the smaller metal will be affected by, it's also Ikava or whatever sample roaster you get. If it's a mobile sample roaster, you have to calibrate it. And to be honest, 2-3 years ago I was using an Ikava. The roast profile what I had in Berlin when I went to Istanbul, it's not the same. My coffee also resulted in a very different tasting notes than it was. But that one is also, don't forget, this is also a sample roaster. It is not a proper roaster which you can do production. This is more made for when a coffee professional is going on a origin trip. Or if the farmer wants to know actually, hey, what is the quality of my coffee before I let Mzungu tell me what he is telling me. So I want to have it controlled. So I have one sample roaster which is affordable. You are going to a competition and you want to have really more control on your roast profile, which is very important at the end in the cup. So this is made for that.
I have a question. How many kilo you can roast within 24 hours? What is the maximum roast you can do?
Well, I mean, I did 12 hours long roast.
Okay.
But
it
what
was,
the recommendation is, to be honest, are really, I mean, I would say now 25 hours in a day, but it would be a lie.
yeah, okay, but you don't know, I mean...
Again, I don't know what the recommendation
emissions.
is. I mean, you can just like go on Kaffelogic on Instagram,
Okay.
just write them a message. They will get back to you. I wasn't prepared for this question. I'm not in this level, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
having said that, you can import your roast profile. Does it run on artificial intelligence in a way that a profile that you've found from somewhere, let's say from Cropster, and you've input it there, it will follow it to the latter?
It will follow each to the letter, but the thing is like, I mean, what is very tricky about that? It's like, I don't know, Regine has more experience about that. If I am wrong, please tell that. And there are like more experienced guys in roasting. So the roasting profile is for me very similar to an espresso recipe. Okay, you make an espresso recipe on this espresso machine. It is a La Marzocco GB5, but this one is from 1996. You don't have the same boiler. You don't know what kind of water is in there. You don't know how the heating element is working. You don't know how consistent it is. You don't have the same water. So the water has, okay, 120 ppm, fantastic. But what are those 120 ppm, so particle per million? Are we talking about 60% magnesium, or are we talking about 70% calcium, and what is the bicarbonate percentage? It's the same also with all roasting profiles you do have. So I make a roasting profile on Cropster or on the Kava on a low-ring, let's say, okay? So connected with Cropster, low-ring, 5 kilos, 5 kilos, I'm giving all information, sending you the information. You have a 5 kilo low-ring or 15 kilo.
Yes, 260 kilo low-ring.
Okay, it's not about the size, huh?
Not
always. Okay, but at the end you have a 60 kilo low-ring. I got 15 kilo low-ring. So if I make it, so is it on gas? Yes, it's on gas. My one is also on gas. But the thing is, like, we don't know the gas quality you do have. So the gas quality will affect also the energy you are applying and the gas I have. But it will follow exactly, because it is very similar. You have here the roar, and the roar says, okay, go up, and go down, go down. At the end, you will have the same profile, more or less, according to the room temperature. Don't forget that. More or less, I have been comparing all the logs one by one. It wasn't 100% because there is no espresso machine can do the 100% the same. There is no sample roaster who can do also low-ring will not do 100% the same. Even with low-ring, I mean, you press and play, right? It will follow. But do you have differences in the profiles? Even that differences?
Yeah, we do that.
So it's also the same. I mean, to your answer.
Okay, another question. Do you have to set the parameters from that end, or it comes with most of them set already? Like the end of roast?
You do, look, the thing, end of roast is one thing. Don't forget, guys, it is about, there are other parameters what is affecting the end of roast. So the density of your coffee you have is not the density I do have with my coffee. The altitude, the room temperature, the humidity, and go on. It will end. It can, you can, there are already 12 profiles, I guess. If I'm lying, then forgive me for this time. There are ready profiles. Let me check. Oops. Discard the changes. I was just playing. I don't want to mess it up with that. Kaffelogic. Here are the roast profiles. So there are, let me see, 3, 6, 8, 12. Wow, I learned this part of my presentation. There are 12 are examples. So they say, hey, those are made by really world recognized roasters. But as I said, like here, it has a different first crack stage at 6 minutes. When we were in Kisi, it was like about in like 5 minutes and 52-ish. but the temperature was also different, the altitude was different, the way it was receiving the energy it was different, and the coffee was also different. We were not roasting this.
It was the
Simple.
same coffee, but it was just hold. This
I
one
was,
I've
talk-
been.
I was talking about
Okay.
the one I was roasting, the one, but it was different. So also, don't forget one thing. When was the last harvest, Stevie? Today. So tomorrow, if you roast it, the coffee is 1 day older. Is that a parameter? Yes. I mean, the coffee can really go stale in 1 day. Like, I had it. I had the coffee, it was like, wow, 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 wow. And the next day, like, what's wrong? Checking the water, checking our espresso machine, checking the water quality what comes in, and checking the water quality what comes out. We are insane. And then we took the coffee somewhere else, we tried there, it's same. And then, okay, we said like, okay, it's about the coffee age, just like. Any other question?
I'm getting a bit lost.
You're getting lost, oh my God.
As a farmer. So I thought I come with my sample and I just load it in and everything else reads backwards. I don't have to peg it on something to figure out what I'm having.
If you have such a sample roaster, I want to buy 10,000 pieces of that. There is no, Stevie, you might get lost, which I do understand, but I just want to be honest, okay? If you tell me like compare it with the kava, you will have the same.
Or you have to compare with something.
I mean, if you need to compare, because if we want to talk about things, if you want to compare it with Provatino,
Okay, I got you now.
you need to have,
I got you now.
you just need to,
I get you now.
it is a natural product. Are you every day the same? I mean, I'm not. I'm waking up, I'm telling, oh, you motherfucker, you're so sexy today. And the next day, I'm just thinking, who the fuck are you, you know? Like, I'm honest, guys. I'm not here to tell you bullshit, you know? This is how I see it. And if I am telling something wrong and you have a different point of view, please tell me, because I'm very open to learn about anything. But we need to be honest. It says we are dealing with a natural product. We are talking about freshness. So yes, we do need to do, and there is no one, and I'm happy for that, because as soon there is a roaster which will, you just press, even you don't need to press, it will grab it from your bag, put it in, you know, start, and even one day you don't need to be there, it will already do the farming process, pick the right, it doesn't really, I mean it was, then we would be really, this beautiful community, you know, I'm coming all the way from like, you know, from north of Europe, and coming, and this very simple scene from the consumers, like, hey, can I have a simple coffee or a normal coffee? So many people are involved in that and working with all their passion and with their love and with, like, you know, with their, they don't love it, they leave it. So thanks God there is nothing like that, and we still need to be involved, because otherwise we won't be existing. I would be jobless most probably, because I don't want to do anything else in my life actually. But it is very, Stevie, for you it is what is important. Every harvest it will be different, and every batch of your process, I mean coffee, will be different. So all what you need to do is very simple. Let me, while I'm talking, so I can finish it, because otherwise we will do the cupping at 1 o'clock in the night. Okay, so that's that one. So all you need to do, you got it, 100 grams, make sure. You can do also with this one, it is more or less 100 grams, but we are talking about being prestigious. I am seeing farmers, before they pick the cherries, they pick a cherry, measure the sugar content, and then they decide, okay, this is the color we're gonna pick. They do some samples with the sugar with Brixmeter, and then they start. So we become more prestigious. 10 years ago, when Regine, or 20 or 50 years ago, I don't know when you started coffee, how did you start? It was like, what is your recipe? 1 to 2, 1 to 3. Now we are talking about like 18.5 in and 37.9 out. So we are getting more procedures when we are talking about our recipe.